Hello world, it is Wednesday, February 29th, 2012. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. It is very snowy out here in Connecticut today. And today I'm going to do my list of five, which are video game sequels that are better than the original, at least in my opinion. And before we get started, I want to apologize if my video on Monday seemed kind of iffy or not that great or anything. I'm sort of in the process of as you can probably tell from the background over here, that I got a new roommate for the semester. So sort of having to adjust my recording times and my times to make videos to his schedule and stuff like that. So and when I can have some time to make videos, so I have to sort of readjust my schedule. So I'm getting adjusted to that slowly but surely. So yeah, let's get started. Well, before I get started, the reason why the video kind of seemed so disjointed was that because I was trying to rush to get this video done so I can head to class. So, because I had essentially 30 minutes to make that video. So, I tried my hardest, so hopefully this video will be a lot better than Mondays. I recognize Mondays was kind of a hot mess. So, alright. So, now let's get to the meat of the video, which, like I said, is my list of 5 of video game sequels better than the originals. Now, again, like I said, this is just my opinion of games that I feel that are better than the originals or some other previous game in the series, in my opinion at least. So, let's get started. With number 5, it's Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Now, I wasn't really exposed to Call of Duty much as a kid. The first Call of Duty game I actually played was Call of Duty 3. And while I had a really good time with it and I had a lot of fun with that game, it necessarily wasn't my favorite. It was actually the first game I got for my Xbox 360, was Call of Duty 3. So, so I played. So then, when I heard that Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, before I get into why the game is good, let's sort of take you back into a time to the early to mid 2000s. Essentially, a lot of the war shooters were all World War II shooters. And eventually essentially the whole theater of World War II got extremely overused to a ridiculous extent. So what the guys at Infinity Ward and Activision decided to do when making the next Call of Duty game, the fourth game in the series, was that they decided to set it, instead of setting it in World War II, to set it in the modern day. Well, not the modern day, technically. It's like 2012, I think, is when the game is set. But still, in a more modern time frame. Something that we can relate with, to show how much modern warfare has sort of changed since the days of World War II. And it's a really good game. I mean, it has a really lot of really intense, really action-packed set pieces. What's also really good about the game that sort of stands apart from the previous Call of Duty games, or a lot of other like World War II shooters and stuff like that, was Call of Duty was a game where, it captures really the gray area of the whole aspect of modern warfare that we see today. When you're playing the original Call of Duty games, it's clearly black and white. You're the good guys, or clearly the good guys, because the Nazis are clearly evil. The Nazis are clearly evil people. But you're playing this game, and it sort of, like I said, it sort of has a lot of the gray area that you see in warfare today, and see like in a lot of modern combat today. That there's a whole bunch of a massive shade of gray throughout the whole thing. And when you're playing the game, and when you reach the conclusion, you really don't know if your actions. Well, when you play the original Call of Duty games, you know your actions for the better because you're beating the Nazis. Here, you don't know whether your actions will be the better of it, and there's a lot of gray areas, and there's a lot of decisions the characters make throughout the game where you're just like, what? And story-wise, it's one of the best shooters that I've played in the longest time. So, yeah. So, number 4 on this list now is Assassin's Creed 2. I love the Assassin's Creed series. It's definitely one of my favorite modern video game series as of right now. And the first Assassin's Creed was a really good game. Don't get me wrong. Assassin's Creed 1 was, a really, really good game in my opinion. But of course, it had a lot of flaws with the repetitive system, kind of mediocre combat system. But, it really kind of felt, but other than that, the game was really, really good. And Assassin's Creed 2 literally just exceeded expectations and just topped it. You had a better story, better character, with Ezio Auditore, who's a much better character than Altair, because this is not a game where you're like a professional assassin going on a mission. The game is mainly just about Ezio going on a, trying to find out why his family was murdered, essentially. And he leads him to his quest all over Italy, and this journey, which the game spans probably about like 15, 20 years, I think, really sort of, captures his, emotions, and it really his journey as a character. He grows so much, and that's one of the big things about it. But also like enhanced combat system, brand new economy, a whole bunch of separate sequences make the game so much more interesting and so much more involved, so much more in depth, with so much to do afterwards, lots of collectibles, that sort of thing. Makes Assassin's Creed 2 a really, really good game. Now, my next game on this list is Halo Reach. Now, again, Halo is one of my favorite series. I really love the Halo genre, the Halo series compared to most like first-person shooters because Halo has such a powerful. Throughout all the Halo games, there's such a powerful mythology behind it. There's such powerful, in-depth mythology that makes you feel like this universe has been around for a while. And what makes Halo Reach such a great game was that compared to the other games, which are all equally good, was that you kind of saw this with Halo 3 ODST was that the series was starting to go towards more darker territory. And Halo Reach is sort of the extremely darker territory. If you guys are not familiar with Halo canon, Halo Reach takes place during the Battle of Reach, which was sort of like the last bastion of human, of the last bastion of human defense before Earth, and it's sort of like the prequel to the original Halo game. And it's such a brilliant game, it's such a powerful, moving game, and it's such a dark game too, because for those of you who are familiar, that Reach eventually falls. The planet of Reach is essentially wiped out, and its population is almost completely wiped off the face of the Earth. And it was just, and when you're playing these characters and you're seeing starting that there's no hope when you're playing this game. You know that all hope is essentially lost, and it's such a powerful, moving, and sort of like I wouldn't say cathartic, I don't know how really to describe it, but it's such like, that when you're playing, the end is going to be that you're going to die. And it's just like a powerful feeling, a powerful emotion that you get out of that game. And it has really a lot of excellent set pieces and powerful moments, really making it a truly fantastic game. Now, number 2 on this list is Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 is definitely one of my favorite games. I loved Mass Effect 1. I still play Mass Effect 1 to this day. But Mass Effect 1 did have a few little tiny problems. Wasn't too crazy on the whole inventory system. It was very cluttered, very disorganized, very all over the place. The whole vehicle levels all sucked, and BioWare, when they made Mass Effect 2, took that into consideration and made a much more streamlined game. But they did so at an excellent, way. They improved upon the characters. They gave new characters. They gave them each a backstory, which kind of comes back to haunt them throughout the game, and it's just a brilliant game, and it streamlines a lot of the things. Yes, it tends to be a little bit more action-packed than Mass Effect 1, but it's a much more darker, more compelling, more fantastic story, and it's really, it's really great as a whole, in my opinion. So Mass Effect 2 is definitely much superior to Mass Effect 1, even though I still love Mass Effect 1 to this day. And finally, number 1 on this list is Kingdom Hearts 2. Now, I first played Kingdom Hearts back when it came out in 2002. Kingdom Hearts I owe a lot to because it exposed me to Final Fantasy, which is one of my favorite video game series of all time. It still has a lot of sentimental value to it, even though I don't play Final Fantasy as much, because I've sort of grown out of JRPGs. But I still pick it up every now and then and play and stuff like that. But Kingdom Hearts really kind of exposed me to that at first, and opened my avenues to play Final Fantasy games. And Kingdom Hearts was a great game, but Kingdom Hearts 2 completely blew it out of the water, and because it gave you a much better combat system, a much more action-packed, more intense combat system. It gave you, it gave you a lot of things in that game. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the game as a whole was, it was a much darker storyline. The villains were more complex. These villains were actually highly sympathetic compared to Ansem and Kingdom Hearts 1. So these villains were really sympathetic, and you still really get behind these villains, and they were still very compelling characters. And one of the things I really loved was that in Kingdom Hearts 2, the problem was with Kingdom Hearts 1 is that when you go and visit these Disney worlds, the sort of main plot gets lost underneath the subplot of that Disney world that you're trying to fulfill. But here in Kingdom Hearts, the whole plot to stop Organization 13 is still very relevant. It's still very relevant no matter which world you go to. Yeah, there's still a plot in terms of characters and stuff like that. There's still the movie where they condense the movie plot to about 30 minutes, and you have to go and do that. But what makes it so great is that, that the plot is still front and center, the main plot of the game, and it's still very, it's still very much the main focus of the game, and not just in random parts. And Kingdom Hearts 2 is a really fantastic story, and it's really one of my favorite, video games of all time, and probably the best sequel that I have played that is better than the original. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. next week is going to be my review and a current event slash news blog, whatever I feel like talking about at that time. And yeah, again, I have a Twitter and face, not Twitter. I have Twitter and Tumblr accounts. I'll post the links down there below. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Have a great rest of the week, and I will see you on Monday. All right, peace.